second chapter of Civics class 9, and the name of the chapter is What is Democracy and Why Democracy? In today's world, democracy is the most popular government. But if we go deep into the history and try to find out that as to how did the government come into existence, we will know that it was a very brutal affair. Actually, when people started settling at one place and they started having money and they had property, that is belongings, that is the time the disputes started. So, there was required a person who could settle these disputes, who could govern these people, who could pass a judgment as and when required. So, the people thought that the wisest and an intelligent man or a brave man should actually be placed on the throne. And this is how the monarchy or the king came into existence. And from therein, from the king, we have actually marched towards democracy, which is more popular and which is in fact the real government of the people. So, in the chapter, we are going to read about the government which is very popular, and in the previous chapter you have already seen how various countries have struggled for years to establish democracy, and there have been ups and downs, there have been times when they have moved back to dictatorships, to monarchies. So, it is a long process wherein we can actually establish a long-term stable government, that is the democratic government. Before I start with the chapter, let me tell you about some terms. The first is democracy. The most popular definition of democracy is that it's the government of the people, by the people, for the people. Of the people, that is from amongst us. By the people, because we vote, and of the people, by the people, for the people, that is the people who get elected, they in return govern and they look after the welfare of the remaining people. So, a democratic government can also be called as a welfare government. Next is contemporary. Contemporary means at the same time, at the present time, going on at the same time. Next, what we have is dictatorships. Dictatorship means when the power is vested in one hand, that is, one man actually governs the entire state, his word is law, he is an autocrat, and whatever he feels is absolutely right, and it is almost said that he is the representative of God on earth. Monarchy. Monarchy comes from the word monarch, which means king, and this means that the power is in the hands of the king, who is generally not elected but a hereditary ruler. That is, the power passes on from one man to another, that is in the same family. Now, when we are talking of democracy and why it is essential, we must understand first of all the difference between democracy and other governments. If we have to talk about other governments, then generally we talk of dictatorships or we talk of monarchies. When I talk of a military rule, the dictators, the best example that I can give is of Myanmar. When I talk of monarchy, then of course Nepal and Saudi Arabia. Of course, in Nepal, they have been trying to establish democracy time and again the powers get vested into the hands of the monarch. But they have now changed the constitution also, and it is almost like a democratic nation. So, we must understand that in today's world, whether we are democratic or not, all of us want to be called as a democratic nation.